In this video, we're going to talk about Adobe Connect sessions and how to set an Adobe Connect session up. But before we do that, I kind of want to show you, it's going to be a recording of an Adobe Connect session that I did with my business accounting students, because I think it helps understand the whole premise behind Adobe Connect to see it actually in action. And so I'm going to show you a recording of one, because that's one of the features, depending on what capabilities you have inside of Adobe Connect, that you can do. You can record your sessions so that you may add those recordings to your courses for those students who can't make it when you have an Adobe Connect session going. And so what I'm going to show you is my introduction to my business accounting course. The Adobe Connect session for that it's just my way of going through my Moodle course to show them this is what you're looking for, this is what you're looking at, this is how you go different places. And I do that at the beginning of every semester with my business accounting students. So I'm going to go ahead and go in. This link right here is the actual link to the Adobe Connect session. In other words, when my students first come in, that's what they would log into, or that's what they click on. They don't have to log into it because it's a single login for two different programs. So once they log into Moodle, they also have access to this. And so this is the actual Connect session, but this is a recording of the Connect session that I did for my business accounting students. So I'm going to have it come up, and there's going to be some voice in it as questions. What I'm going to do this morning, I'm going to go over the course page just so that everyone knows exactly where things are, and
I'm going to jump forward.
Do chapter 1, and so sometimes people have trouble finding it if I don't, but this is where we'll work at. So as we go through the site, all of my information is up here for you to be able to get a hold of me. This is my office at the downtown campus. I also have an office at the main campus. I'm at the main campus on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and that number is 341-1345. So you may want to jot that down. I am at the downtown campus on Thursdays and Fridays, and so I kind of go back and forth between the two. So as you're looking at the course, we have our description. Any course announcements, I will put in the course announcements here, and it's set up just like a discussion board. The difference in this one is that I'm the only one that can post.
So you can see by looking at this, you have an area that shows you who's in the session, who's visiting with you, and there's some things that you can work on as far as that's concerned. There's a chat session. Technically, I could give my students speaking rights, but it gets a little bit harder to control as far as who's talking, who's not talking, and so I leave that part of it off, and I use the chat room for them to ask me questions, or they can raise their hand, and then I can give them speaking rights. I have a section here that shows them my screen and what we're working on. Along with that, there's some other sections that I can add, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But this shows you how the system works and how items come up. It works very well when I'm working with my students explaining a new chapter. It works real good because they can see my desktop, they can see what I'm working on, and it shows them exactly what it is that we're doing.
But we'll go ahead and get started. And
again, going to zoom
ahead a little bit. You always keep this handy. If you have a printer, I would print this out, put it in your book, and keep it handy.
So it actually gives them my screen. It shows them the same thing that I'm looking at, while I'm talking. So this would be very similar if I were in a classroom and I was doing this up on the board, or if I was doing this on an overhead. This takes the place of that. And you'll see that my students are asking questions as we're going along, and I'm asking them questions and they're answering me, so it gives that discussion feel. You'll also notice on this course I had a student that was having some difficulty, and so I set up a session just with that student. And then another one asked about it, and so it ended up I was helping a couple different students inside of this Connect session. So in my opinion, Connect, I'm not sure that I could teach anymore without it because it works that effectively. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to click on Add an Activity or a Resource. It's going to come up. The top item under Activities is Adobe Connect, so I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click Add. Once you click Add, it's going to go out to the Connect server, and it's going to get the information that it needs to be able to set it up. So I'm going to just set this up as a test. And again, you have to give it a description. This is an Adobe test. You need to go under Connect Sessions, Settings, set your time and date so that it is set up for when you actually want to do this. And so like I set my accounting one up a whole week in advance, and so I would go in and set this for the following Monday. I do my Connect Sessions the same time every week, and so it's set up, and the students know that that's part of what they're going to be doing. You can hide it if you so choose. You can restrict access, so the students can't have access to it until they do something else. And the only choice you have here is they have to mark it manually, and so I just shut that off. And I go Save and Return to Course. Once you save and return to course, it will now give you a link on your Moodle course that will allow you and your students to go into it. So when it's time to go into this section, click on it, and it goes ahead and goes right into the Adobe Connect session and opens that up for your students to be able to see what you want to see.